The Glintstone Magi is going to be an incredibly fun and powerful build for you to use. If you love intelligence builds, then this one is right up your alley. You're going to be pouring out a ton of damage. Everything you see here is recorded on New Game +5, and I am level 170. But with that being said, it's still going to work really well at level 150, so let's go ahead and jump into it because I'll let the build speak for itself. So this build is going to focus around a dagger. Surprisingly enough, I just did a top 10 best intelligence weapons, and the Glintstone Chris was up there in the top 10. I had never used this weapon before, and it is absolutely incredible, at least when it comes to its Glintstone Dart Ash of War. This Ash of War does so much damage. You are going to have physical and magic damage on this weapon, but the Ash of War Glintstone Dart, as you've seen so far, does a huge amount of damage, and it also is chargeable, which means you can stack it with the Godfrey icon. So I decided to put this dagger with a few odds and ends in order to make a really fun and powerful build, and the Glintstone Magi is what I came up with. So how exactly does this build work? We're going to be using the Glintstone Chris dagger, as I've said. In order to make Glintstone Dart as powerful as we possibly can, we are going to be using the Spellblade set. Each portion of this set gives a 2% buff to the damage of your magic Ash of Wars. So we're going to make Glintstone Dart hit 8% harder. With the talismans we have chosen, that damage number is going to go up. So let's go ahead and jump into that now. So in order to keep building upon the Glintstone Chris Glintstone Dart, we're going to be using the Shard of Alexander. This is going to greatly increase the attack power of your skills, and what that means is that you're going to get a 15% damage increase to your Ashes of War. This is going to include Glintstone Dart, so obviously we're going to put that in slot number 1. Now in slot number 2, we're going to be using the Ritual Sword Talisman. This is going to raise attack power when HP is at maximum. While you have full HP, you're going to get a 10% damage increase to your overall damage when you have this talisman equipped. So that's talisman slot number 2. In talisman slot number 3, we're going to be boosting our magic damage even farther with the Magic Scorpion Charm. This is going to raise our attack but lower damage negation. We're going to get a 12% magic increase for our damage with this talisman, but you are going to take 10% more damage, which is why I've slotted one of the tiers in our flask, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. And finally, we have the Godfrey icon. This is going to enhance our charge skills and spells by 15%. The reason that we want to use this talisman is because the first portion of Glintstone Chris's Ash of War Glintstone Dart is going to be a chargeable Ash of War. There is a second follow-up, but that's only going to do physical damage, and it's going to perform an impaling thrust movement into your enemy, which causes you sometimes to break stances. So in order to get all 4 of these talismans, you will have to traverse all over the lands between, but the Shard of Alexander is going to be located at the end of the game, at the end of Alexander's questline. I will leave that video linked down in the description below, so if you want to go check that out and snag that talisman, you can do so. The Ritual Sword Talisman is going to be located in the Lux Ruins right here on the map, and after you kill the boss inside those ruins, she will drop this for you. The Magic Scorpion Charm is going to be located at the end of Selvis's questline, which once again I will leave a video down in the description for you to follow step by step in order for you to get this amazing magic talisman. And lastly, the Godfrey icon is going to be located right here on the map in Altus Plateau after you defeat the boss in the Everjail. Now when it comes to the weapons we're using for this build, there is some mixing and matching you can do in order to match the situation you find yourself in. So in the first slot I have the Jellyfish Shield because I like using Contagious Fury. It gives us that 20% extra damage boost, but at the same time we can't use Glintstone Chris because once you put the Jellyfish Shield away, you lose the buff from it. So I like to use the Jellyfish Shield when I'm casting, but if I do want to haul out that heavy Glintstone Dart, I will then switch over to the Glintstone Chris. This dagger is going to be attainable at the end of Selen's questline. I will leave that questline down in the description below so you guys can follow along and get this dagger because it is absolutely fantastic. The physical damage is 131 plus 44, which is kind of standard for a dagger, and its magic damage is 156 plus 97. Now it does seem to hit a ton harder after we buff everything up, so don't let that number deter you. Its attribute scaling is Intelligence C, Strength E, and Dexterity C, and it's only going to require 5 Strength, 16 Intelligence, and 12 Dexterity to use. Now when we do start to cast, I'm using the Carrion Regal Scepter, one of the best staffs in the entire game with a sorcery scaling of 315. You can use Lusat's Glintstone Staff for a higher sorcery scaling, but it does cost more to cast each sorcery by 15%, which is why I stayed away from that one. But we are going to have a Strength D, Dexterity D, and Intelligence S scaling. It is going to take 60 Intelligence to use, so this is definitely more of a mid to end game staff, so just keep that in mind. But overall, this is a phenomenal staff to use for this particular build because of its great sorcery scaling. The Jellyfish Shield is going to be found on a broken down wagon in the west part of Liurnia of the Lakes, right here on the map. And if you want to get the Carrion Scepter, you need to defeat Renala in Raya Lucaria and take her remembrance to Enya and Roundtable Hold and turn it into her. Now real quick, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this far into the video. I appreciate it a ton. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that sub button. It means a ton and it's free for you guys. But if you do want to support the channel in a different way, I do have a Patreon, which I will link down in the description below. All of my lore videos and early access videos are going to be going up on that Patreon, so I want you guys to be aware of that because I think it's going to be a really awesome community to be a part of. So with that being said, let's jump right back into the rest of the video. Now for our Flask of Wondrous Physic, we're going to be using the Magic Shrouding Cracked here, which is going to give us a 20% increase in our magic damage. This is going to stack with all of our other talismans and our buff that we're using, making us incredibly powerful. The Opaline Bubble Tier is going to take slot number 2 in our flask because I find that when I'm casting, typically I'm going to get hit a few times more than I would like to, so the Opaline Bubble Tier gives me that 90% damage negation for one hit, which is a fantastic crutch for most casters. Another tier you could put here is the Cerulean Hidden Tier, which is going to eliminate your FP cost for 15 seconds, so either of those tiers will work well for you. The Magic Shrouding Cracked Tier is going to be located in the northeast of Liurnia of the Lakes, right here at the Minor Erd Tree on the map. And then if you're trying to get the Opaline Bubble Tier, this is going to be found at the beginning of the game in Weeping Peninsula, dropped by the Erd Tree avatar right here. And lastly, we're going to go over the buffs and the stats of the build. First and foremost, when it comes to our buff, we are using Terra Magica. This is going to give us a 35% increase in our magic damage, so we are going to be hitting like an absolute truck after everything else we've stacked, and then adding Terra Magica. And then for sorceries, I've just kind of put together some Glintstone sorceries that I thought were really good. I have Comet, Glintstone Pebble, Glintstone Arc, and the Cannon of Haima. So overall, those are what I'm using for the sorceries. Now for the stats of the build. For my Vigor, I have 50, Mind is 22, Endurance is 28, Strength is 40, Dexterity is 23, Intelligence is 70, and Faith and Arcane haven't been touched. If you want to min-max this just a little bit to get a little more damage out of it, I would keep Vigor at 50. You could do a little bit less Endurance and a lot less Strength. Add that into Dexterity and Faith, allowing yourself to get at least Golden Vow, possibly Howl of Shabriri, and then you'll get some more damage there. But overall, the 70 Intelligence is what we really want, because that's what all of our magic damage is going to be scaling with, allowing us to do the damage that you've seen in this video. And guys, that is it for our Glintstone Magi build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know anything down in the comments that you might change or things you liked about the build. I've really been enjoying Intelligence build recently, so I don't know what's wrong with me, but it's absolutely a blast, and I'm doing a ton of damage with the majority of Intelligence builds that I try out. So with that being said, that's going to be all for this video. If you guys want to catch a stream, I do stream here on YouTube Tuesday nights at 7:30 Eastern, so make sure to catch that. We can talk in real time. It's always a ton of fun. Also, make sure to slam that subscribe button on your way out. And until next time, guys, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.